The, which is,
There's still some in from Greensburg about that?
well, when I was at that corner house, it's gray.
Yeah, the corner house is in two apartments.
Clean.
So
Clean.
Let's call this Lawrenceburg Planning Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Jim Crook,
Here.
Derry Hutcherson,
Here.
Dylan Little,
Present.
Owen Cross,
Here.
Brett Bondurant,
Yes, sir.
Lenny Fryman,
Here.
Tony Abbott,
Here.
Attorney Del Weldon,
Here.
and myself.
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? If so, do we have a motion and or a second to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion accepted. Do we have a staff report tonight?
Only thing I've got for you is the last applicant didn't get the notifications out in time, so she won't be appearing this month. She'll be up next month.
Okay. All right, so for new business, is there a representative here from Rezo Engineering?
If you could approach the podium, yeah.
Would you come up to the podium, please? Tell us what you want to do, please.
Which is the first one?
First
It's
one's
the
Arch Street.
So they have several lots along the street, and they want to split and consolidate them in a different fashion that they're currently organized. So he's planning on selling one of them off once he's gotten his things approved.
This is on
So
Arch
it's a-
Street.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
Any
split and
questions from you guys?
consolidation.
I've got a full-size copy of it right here, too.
Is there a map here showing the lots?
There's in your packet, and then right here.
That's what I'm looking for. I haven't seen it.
621
Yeah, it's just,
is the first one off of US 50.
Yeah, you know I'm blind. If you're gonna do that, you need to provide magnifying glasses. I'm going in front. Okay, so you want to consolidate them or you want to split them?
redivide.
Yeah,
Will they all be 30 foot wide and 30 feet over there? So yeah, they'll all meet the code requirements.
right.
Okay.
So why
That's all I
are
wanna
they,
know.
why are they here? They're not here for a variance, they're here for plat approval, okay. Just wanna make sure.
Any questions from the audience? Do we have a motion to approve or deny and
I'll
or,
make
or a second?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion accepted. You might as well stay there because you're up
Yes.
for the second piece of business. 761 West Eads Parkway.
Yes, their deed did not close properly, so we were doing a retracement. But their deed had it in 3 parcels, so I guess it was considered a consolidation instead of just a retracement.
Questions from the board?
So this is the modular? Is that where this is at? Where we-
Tri-State Liquid Waste is
Huh?
now, Tri-State Liquid Waste is now the
Oh,
company
oh,
that's,
okay. I'm on different time zone or something,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they needed the different bank approval and things of that sort, and the deed did not close, so.
Any questions from the audience?
Nope.
Okay, so do we have a motion and or a second to approve or deny this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion accepted.
Right.
Thank you.
So-
The next item is Tony Schroeder.
Thank you. I have a property at 575 West High, which is down past the jail, all the way to the end. And I put a I'm requesting a variance to go from a single-family property to a two-family property. There was a garage in the back that the roof had fallen down. I know I've seen you, Mark, drive by there a few times, and I put the apartment on top of that. And there's multiple two families, one right next door in that neighborhood, and, I remodeled both the properties, and that's what I was wanting to request a variance for a two-family.
Questions from the board?
I've got one. Are you allowed to have two principal buildings on one lot?
That's what the variance is for.
But don't you have,
vary from that.
don't you have to split them if you do two? I
Split
know there's
would-
two families, but those are connected together. Yours are not connected together.
That's right,
Right
that's right.
back.
That's right.
So I thought we would have to split the lots.
A split for that would take a
Code.
different variance because that would create a lot with no dedicated street frontage. It'd have alley frontage, but not street frontage,
All right.
which is another code section for variances.
Any other comments? Any questions? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
As far as rent goes, is it going to be government subsidized of any type, or?
No, it's charging $1,300 a month, including utilities, and I already have a tenant who's interested in it.
So there's no government subsidies? I mean, because be quite frank and honest with you, I've heard it's going to be like drug rehab
No.
people, and
Well, I do a lot of that to help the community, and I just remind you that this community's full of drug addicts, and somebody's got to take care of them. Just so you know.
yeah, but those neighbors just don't want some.
The neighbors want to send them to somebody else's community, right?
There's a lot of room out on Gillett Road that they would build. We'd like to take them out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's different. What's your neighbor?
It's
I live a half mile off the road. I live a half mile off the road, so I don't have any issues.
well,
Be a big barn.
and see, you're lucky that way, but we have to take in all the.
This isn't a drug rehab, sir.
Well, you just said you had some. Do you plan?
I do have 5. They're
You-
called the Oxford House.
Okay.
I'm somebody who helps people in the community. There's all kinds of people in the community that need sober living.
The Oxford House, that's out on Ridge Avenue, right?
I have one 329 Ridge, but I'm selling, I'm kicking them out. I have one at 145 Ridge, I have 2 in Aurora, and I have one right behind the CVS. And those people very much appreciate having a place to live.
I don't doubt that, but we have to take in consideration the neighbors.
You can't discriminate against those groups if you research it. They're all,
We're not discrimination.
I'm just-
taking all considerations in.
I just am surprised with a community with so many issues, would have issues with housing people that have issues.
It's not in your neighborhood, sweetheart.
Sweetheart, do you want to ship them to Aurora?
I grew up with a brother that was a heavy alcoholic.
Okay.
Okay, and I understand.
Where do you want them to go, ma'am?
Why does it have to be there? What's gonna happen to my property value?
What, number one,
What's going to happen when I come home and somebody's in my
I
house?
misunderstood that you were here because of this. There won't be an Oxford House. There's already, her name's Debbie, she moved out of the house. There's no Oxford House there. But I am telling you that you couldn't stop that anyway.
So I couldn't stop it, but if that variance could possibly lead into
There won't
that-
be a person, that won't happen. They don't rent that way. 8 people live in these houses. It's an 893 square foot
And
apartment.
that's a two-bedroom place back there, I understand that.
That's right.
Been there, seen it, done it.
That's right.
I'm just asking questions. This is my.
This one-
This is my front door.
I understand.
This is my area to be able to.
I understand.
Opinion.
There's nothing going on there.
So I have all these witnesses that if we try and come in and make it a halfway house for drugs, for alcohol, for anybody getting out of jail, if they open that variance up and it happens, then it's opened up for the whole city.
I
And
understand.
I'm screwed.
I understand. But do realize you do have a jail right up the street.
I do realize that.
Second-
And we've also got guards all around
And
it.
and second thing is, you can have a property like this anywhere in the city. I'm not doing it, but I just want to warn you that an Oxford House can open in any house in the city, and the city can't stop it. I'm just telling you. You can do the research. I have nothing. I just provide the housing. I'm not Oxford House. I don't represent Oxford House. I just try to help people.
No, and I understand, and I appreciate the help for people.
But
you
this is,
also need to
you
think
have my
about the
word
neighborhood.
that this isn't an Oxford House. Won't be an Oxford House. I have no
I'm not
desire
saying
for that.
Oxford House, I'm saying someone coming out of jail, what if they need somewhere to go?
Well,
What if Debbie's moved out from?
I
her
don't
house?
discriminate against anybody. I'm a man of second chances.
Dale, I got another question. Is the trailhead considered a park?
I don't know.
You're not going in circles either. I gave you my straight word. That's what it
I have
is.
a question. Who you represent? Are you just a renter, or are you working for?
I'm a
represent-
local businessman. I have about 40 properties. I try to help people get housing. I do a lot of land contracts. I have people in housing all over. I work mostly with single mothers, use my own money to try to help people.
So you don't represent any organization?
Nope, Tony Schroeder, there's my business card. Schroeder Real Estate. I own Proof. I own the Ice House. I own the diner. Do a lot of good things in the community.
So, I mean, I gotta understand their concern, because they live directly across the street. And I'm not downgrading nobody for what kind of people they have,
Yeah.
the past they've had or whatever, but I think we all know that sometimes.
Did you see what I did to that?
Let me speak. When you have those kind of people, I'm not downgrading, I'm just saying things do happen sometimes. Now, I own property down there. I don't live there right now. I rent. But, is that gonna bring a different atmosphere to that end of the town? I was born and raised down there. That's always been a quiet part of town. I don't know, it's getting a little bit different.
Well, I think,
You gotta understand, these people live there.
I understand, but did you
And
see what I
so-
did to that property?
So,
hey, everybody, hey, guys, guys.
so we
Well,
just.
hold on a second. You can speak when you're acknowledged, you can go to the podium, or you won't speak at all. So I'm gonna speak now, and Mr. Schroeder has been asked directly if this house will be some type of transitional housing or temporary housing, and he said no. So that's the end of it. You'll have an opportunity to speak, in a moment, but he has answered that question, and the board has questions to ask so that they can make an important decision here. So,
That's
no one
why we're
can, sir, I'll ask you to leave if you can't follow decorum and protocol. So you'll speak.
I thought we
Sir,
was.
yeah, you'll have one more chance.
The reason being is this is all taped, and you're supposed to say your name, so on tape we know who's talking when they go over everything.
And it's not fair for the board because they do have a difficult decision. Your input is valued, your presence is valued, but to ask someone the same question over and over again when he's giving you an answer is just not the most efficient use of our time. So let's have the board continue, and then you can make a statement. They'll consider all the evidence that they have before them, and they'll make a decision.
That's fine with me. Who's running the show?
Thank you, Dale.
I just have one other comment. I'm not in favor of this because I don't want to give a variance for another building on the same property lot, because that would set the wrong precedence, and I'm afraid little backyard mama's one little room house is gonna be built in everybody's backyard. I mean, and we do it for somebody, we gotta do it for somebody else, and all that will happen, I think. So that's the reason, if you wanna do this, I think you need to split it in 2 lots, like the way it's supposed to have been done.
I say that'd be another variance.
Huh?
That would take another variance as well.
Right.
And Mr. Abbott, responsive to your question, I was able to look into this a little bit before the meeting. And so the Planning Commission knows we are in the midst of redoing our entire planning and zoning code structure. We've hired a firm called HWC Engineering. They did our comprehensive plan. They did an amazing job. They spent many, many months developing our 10-year comprehensive plan, and we all are very pleased with that. We want to see that plan go into action because it has a lot of great things that can benefit the city. We've had one meeting that's in draft form. You guys will be heavily involved in that. It's still in its infancy, but just most generally, the impetus behind that is because we all can acknowledge, or hopefully we've learned together over the course of our time together, that our code is older, it's outdated around the edges. It really needs to be modified in a way that supports Lawrenceburg 2023, right? Not Lawrenceburg 1980, 90, or 2000. And that's a good thing. It's a product of tremendous growth and success in our wonderful community. It needs to be tailored to different neighborhoods. It needs to really speak to allowing growth. I asked them directly how they felt about taking, having two residences on one lot without the lot being split. Their exact feedback was, one, that's great. We're gonna add density. You know, the more renters, the more residents, the better. And the only caveat they had was you may consider requiring one of the structures to be a owner-occupied structure and the second one be a rental. But they did say that they would be in favor of having both units be rental units, not having the lot split, and they'd be okay with alley access. So, you know, one of those things where, first of all, the decision is entirely yours. I just did want you to have their input, and it's not my input, it's theirs, because I'm just like you guys. Hey, we've always done it this one way. Maybe that's the way it should be, but what we're hopefully learning is we should always be open to new ways of doing things. So that was their feedback, and I asked them, you know, hey, is this what you see in a lot of communities, in downtown communities, dense population, you know, historic downtowns like ours? And they said, yeah. They said they would be in favor of something like this. So that's why we're here, really, because Mr. Schroeder wanted to have two buildings on one lot and both be occupied dwellings. And they're both going to be rentals. Neither one of them will be owner-occupied and with no alley access. So that's just kind of framing the question. This secondary question, which, look, I know that you've had constituents come to you and say, hey, we're worried about this being some kind of halfway house transitional housing, and we've got a couple neighbors here. You know, you've done what you needed to do, right? You're representing your constituents. You've asked them, the folks in the audience, of course, thank you for being here and being involved, but you've kind of asked him, and he said no. And not to get into it too much, but the city of Lawrenceburg strongly reports folks in recovery and folks who need a hand up. We have directly sponsored Oxford House type sober living communities and homes for people with disabilities and single mothers, and so we strongly support that. But I think it's a moot issue if Mr. Schroeder has answered that will not be present here. So I just don't want to spend a bunch of time being negative when we can be positive.
Let me have my opinion on that, on splitting the lots and putting two on one lot and being in the alley. Right now, Lawrenceburg has gone through the past 30 years, single-family homes going into 2- and 3-family homes. And that has put traffic on our alleys. And now we're putting speed bumps in our alleys because people are using our alleys as if they're streets. And a lot of kids play in these alleys, and that's why we have the speed bumps up. So that's my opinion. If it's it needs to be split lot, and I would rather not have anything on the alley because the alleys are becoming streets.
And Mr. Abbott, that is exactly the right kind of analysis, and that's what all of you guys should be doing. You know, that's the issue, and you have every right to agree or disagree, you know, as to whether these homes, a lot like this, should be split, whether there should be alley access. So that's exactly, I think, what we're here to do, and that was kind of my point. Let's address the issue head on.
There are other lots like this, correct? Because I can think of a few near me where I can think of a owner-occupied house and then the rental behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty frequent.
Before I can only think of one actually, but that was way before our codes were in date. The houses were there.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the audience?
No, I'm just trying to find out. You know, I got the certified.
Could you approach the podium for me?
Say your name, bud.
Roger Garrison. I have property down there. I was born and raised there. These people live directly across from the street from the property he's and I'll say, you know, you've done a nice job rehabbing it.
Thank you.
I
put over $120,000 in it, so.
Yeah, so, but I mean, it looks nice. You did a good job, I'll say that. But, I mean, their concern is additional parking, additional people coming and going. And they've lived down there a long time also. And I think that's their main concern. It's not the fact that, you know, people need help, and I'm with you 100% on that. But, you know, I gotta stand with what they gotta live there with these people. So I think that's their main concern. You know, they're already having trouble, people parking, and they can't get in and out of their driveway and so on, so. And my other question is, if this was gonna be a two-family, wasn't a permit signed and agreed upon before you started doing this?
I was allowed to build the house.
Yeah,
I did sign a permit and did it.
well, I mean,
A permit.
as
You're
a,
allowed-
as a two-family, right?
My understanding is you're allowed to have an in-law house, so there's nothing wrong with having it.
No, I'm just
So
saying.
I'm only here because I want to get an address to the back of the property and actually put somebody in it.
Well, that's not an in-law house. That's 2 apartments back there, right? And you got the one house in front. What kind of parking does he have for that?
Is there two
I
parking
have
spaces in the rear?
Is he re-
the apartment in the back is over a 2-car garage with 2 driveways. So one of the front house uses the one garage and the other house uses the other garage, and they both have a driveway.
Is that enough for them? I mean,
satisfies
there's
our
required so
parking
many spots covered and uncovered.
It's one covered, one uncovered per unit. If there's 2 units, that's 2 of each type of space.
So
He's got-
that would cover the apartments in the back, not the front.
And there's only one apartment.
It's a single apartment in the rear.
Oh, there's only one? I thought there was 2.
No, it's just one. It's a house, and then there's a 2-bedroom. I think she said it was a 2-bedroom, is what she said.
And just to let the commission know, that is another topic of interest that we've discussed is parking. And again, kind of, you know, I'm used to the old school way of thinking, man, do we not have enough parking? Do we need to like limit parking more? Our experts, our engineers that did the comprehensive plan, that are doing the planning and zoning, redoing it for us, they're saying, no, you know, you've got plenty of parking, open up parking more, you know, don't limit parking, don't have requirements that each house needs X number of spots or each house needs X number of whatever for the downtown. So again, you know, a different way of thinking. And remember that the comprehensive plan is designed to bring as many awesome folks into the community as possible. Obviously, in a downtown historic district, we want density. Up on the hill, it's different, and they're gonna tailor our code to meet those needs. But, you know, that was another item that they specifically discussed. Hey, don't limit your amount of dwelling units by parking spots. That's something that's outdated and we're gonna probably get rid of as part of this process.
Okay.
Well, was there something there, I remember when he bought the place, wasn't there something there that we couldn't split it for some reason?
Well, and that's,
I'm just going by, in my mind, what was said when we
yep.
bought the place.
No, yes, sir, and you're exactly right, Mr. Fryman. So one of the things that is gonna be a part of this process is just a different way of looking at lots. So when you have a downtown lot and you have an opportunity, so let's say you have one of these really nice lots like at 333 Arch Street where our code enforcement officers identified a building that was in distress. They condemned the building, they demoed it. Now the lot is available for someone else to put something awesome on it, right? So the traditional paradigm, and John, correct me if I'm wrong anywhere here, would be, okay, well, you're kind of limited what you can build on that because you got to have setbacks and you got to have street access and you got to have so many spots. So this process that we're in which you guys will have direct involvement in, and you're ultimately going to approve or disapprove it and change it and alter it as you go. But the concept is, why would we do that? Why wouldn't we take a lot, not have those setback requirements for the downtown, not for up on the hill or in the suburbs, but for the downtown? Now maybe we can put 2 buildings on it. Now maybe we can put 4 condos on it, and don't require, 8 spots because you're not going to get them, and then that would limit what you can build. Open it up so that we can build density, get more people downtown to fall in love with the downtown. They're building owner occupied. They're sending their kids to school. They're building tax base. They're opening businesses. So that's all kind of a product of our outdated planning and zoning regime, which just really kind of treats all lots the same. So if you have a lot on Ludlow Hill, that's going to be different. We are going to have setback requirements. We are going to require a driveway, for example, but we're going to tailor things so that each part of our town, which we've got every part of a town you could think of, right? We've got suburbs and farm and downtown historic and highway, and, you know, we've got mountain on one side and a swamp on the other. So it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge, because then you can tailor everything to be specific for the neighborhood.
Well, I'm sorry, Dale, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree having rules for Ludlow Hill and rules for downtown. Why overcrowd downtown but leave Ludlow Hill with all the setbacks and everything? I just don't think that's right.
And that's, and that opinion is just as valid, and that'll be part of this process.
Either way, it meets the requirements, though. There's one covered parking, one uncovered parking. I think the big question is there's concerns about who would be in there. But when you look at that area anyways, isn't there another rental that's right down the street from there? I know some people that have lived down there. Is that the concern, is that it's going to be more of a revolving door than anything, or?
Well, my concern is that alley's going to be getting more use, not just the people who live there, people coming to visit. I think there's a basketball goal in that alley in there where the kids play. So that alley's going to become a street. And these kids aren't used to it being a street. They're used to being a playground. They've made their own playground there.
And there's 40 kids on the street, and they're fine. I love kids, that's fine. But it scares me, because the traffic that, yeah, I can't think of a child being hurt. I can't. And then the step to that is with the cars being.
Ma'am, if you, I apologize, if you could just take the podium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Thanks,
Thank
Dale.
you.
Yeah.
Sorry. The other thing is with the parking on the street, when you come down the street, turn to the right to go to Mr. Schroeder's property, turn to the left to turn around, there is no turnaround because the cars have it full. So where do they turn around? In my driveway that I paid the city all that money for concrete. So when it gets busted up, it's not going to happen for my little Explorer. How do we accommodate that?
Well, there should be able to go on around like they have.
But they don't.
That's.
Yeah, I agree with you, but a lot of people don't know that
Yeah.
loops all the way around. But it's that, and it's the fact that this was brought to my attention that it was going to be this, and I'm sorry. I want everybody to be rehabbed. I lived through this with my brother from 21 to 74, and I know what it's like, and I know they need help. But it's a difference of, is someone coming out of jail, and I'm going to have to worry being there by myself. I live there alone. Am I going to come in and somebody's going to be in my house? I've never had that. I bought that house in 1983. I've never had that worry. Who's going to be there? If it's just the rentals, that's great. I'm all for that. But if you're going to start changing a variance and letting another group in, I'm sorry, I object. So, if I'm a bad person, I want to help, but I want to protect me too. I'm getting too old to not.
This variance is only for the rental, it's not to approve another group coming in, correct, Del?
Right.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, that's, well, right, I mean,
And I know, he
Yeah.
said that, but we're going to get that in writing? What are you going, we get the variance and he says, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to change that now, I can do it.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, remember, variances run with the land, they don't run with the owner, so they're kind of forever. Mr. Schroeder he raised his hand.
Well, first I wanted to apologize. I didn't know who you were. What is your name?
Gertrude?
Gertrude. I had no idea who you were. I'm used to getting things said about helping people, and I just don't know where. Somebody's community's got to help people. But on that property, I could show you a copy of the lease. One lady's a wonderful lady, came out of that building. The lady across the street's a wonderful lady with kids. I try to help single moms. That's what I try to do. I know, but the kids are everywhere. And I do admit that when we were blocking that turnaround for a while because we were doing work, that people would turn around, but I see people going through the alley. My thinking is I did a wonderful thing down there. I spent a bunch of money where most people wouldn't have done anything.
I'm proud of it, it looks great to
Yeah,
work.
there were buzzards living in that garage.
Yep.
And so, I don't know, I thought I did something nice. I bet I raised your property value, because
No,
that.
actually, it went down.
Well, that's a pit down there. And I'll fix up more properties if I can buy them. Not your property, but there's all kind of.
I think mine looks pretty good.
Yours is beautiful, but there's a lot of dumpy properties down there. I'm happy to try to get involved and fix. I've been doing it for multiple years. have a lot of properties, so that's all I'm trying to do.
Good, I'll sell you one.
Yeah, hey, you make me a good deal, I'll fix it up, but that's all I've been trying to do, and that's all I'm trying to do here. Got a nice tenant, pays a rent, get good people in the community to eat at these restaurants, that's all I'm trying to do.
How many empty lots are down there?
Well, there's houses on most of those lots, they're just not very pretty.
There's empty lots on, I know because the city owns
Wow.
2, 3.
Like 2 or 3 down there, yeah.
I think we own 3, so that's gonna be 3 more homes that are gonna be built in there, and that gets back to my problem, the kids playing in the alley. And
They play everywhere though,
Traffic.
Tony.
they play in the alleys where there used to be no traffic at all hardly, but now the main entrance to these homes are coming through the back alleys, and that's putting more cars and things, motorcycles and everything on our alleys that just can't support it.
I mean, my daughter lives in Greendale. I sit there and watch kids ride all over the street. Reminds me of being a kid. When you watch out for cars, you're a kid. But it's just not that many cars. I've spent a lot of time there. But I get it, but.
It's gonna be more though. That's what I mean. They're building up that end of town. What you've done is fantastic. And Lawrenceburg has, I think, 3 lots that we're trying to sell to get somebody to build homes on them. You wanna buy those lots to build homes?
I'll take them for nothing.
No, we ain't doing that no more. We're not doing that no more.
Oh, there's lots of that.
All right, let's move this,
100.
move this
That's-
forward.
So yeah, so as everyone can see, this is not an easy job that these folks have, or the BZA. I mean, I guess to have a counterpoint, the reason that Mr. Schroeder is here is because what he is seeking to do is not within our code. And so variance means he went to John, said, hey, I want to do this. John said, you can't do this per our code, but you can ask for a variance. And now they're here with you guys, and then he'll go to the BZA. So yeah, just your discussion is exactly right. It's framed in terms of why do we have a rule where you can only have one dwelling structure on a lot, and then if there are 2 buildings, what are the positives, what are the negatives when you think about alley access and you think about the lot not being able to be split? Does anybody else have questions along those lines, or just discussions amongst yourselves?
It appears we've talked enough about it. Let's move forward. Do we have a motion to forward to the BZA with favorable, no favorable, or no recommendation?
I'll make a motion to send it to the BZA with non-favorable. Let them work it out.
All in favor?
Was there a second
You
on that?
didn't get a second?
I'll second that. We'll let them work this out.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nah.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Yep.
Roll call vote. Jim Crook doesn't vote, correct?
Right.
Unless there's a tie.
No, yeah, that's the tie.
Derry Hutcherson?
Aye.
Dylan Little?
Nah.
Owen Cross? Brett Von Durant?
No.
Lenny Fryman?
Nay.
You mean,
You seconded
backwards.
it,
So you-
Lenny.
Oh,
You made a
voting
motion.
for it, Lenny. It's
Yeah.
aye.
I was confused too.
I had-
Don't feel bad.
I am too,
Okay, I made the motion, send it to BZA with a non-favorable.
and I second that.
Okay, so your vote should be aye,
Just
bud.
wants an address.
Oh, he just said, I thought he wanted a yay or nay.
He just
does.
wants an address, you guys.
So what are you asking here?
You guys are
He's asking you if you support Tony's motion or don't
I
support his.
support.
It has to go to BZA regardless.
Right,
I'm
Yes.
gonna go to BCA. Yeah.
that's right.
Right.
So Lenny's an aye. Who's next?
That's it. That's 4-2. Aye.
Okay. We'll put him on put this on the BZA docket. It's a
Yeah.
good discussion, guys. There's never a perfect answer, but you're doing the work, and that's all you can do.
When does BZA meet?
Okay, so the motion passed.
4th Wednesday for this month?
4th Wednesday this month, 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Any old business?
I have none.
That last thing.
Do we have a motion for adjournment and/or a second?
Yeah, take it.
Vote did it?
I'll make
Huh?
it motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion accepted.
24th, Tony.
Yep. 24th at 6. This, we don't decide whether they can do it or can't do it. We have to forward it to the BZA, and they decide.
I have a question. Is it off the record?
Yeah.
When he's wanting an address form, if there's two there, why can't it be 575
She said
A?
off the record.
I know, I was like.
It could be.
What that means to you, but
No.
that sure means something else.
My ears and I run out of here.
Yeah.
I heard that. Yep, I heard that. Yep, I heard that. Hey, buddy.
Buddy,